So here we are at the last major part of the interview, the last 10 to 15 minutes when the interviewer opens up the floor and asks, "Do you have any questions?" Well, this is another gift, another opportunity for you to shine. Everyone will tell you that asking good questions is an absolutely essential part of having a great interview. And they are right, but what most people do is simply Google something like good questions to ask during an interview, and then they would just pick a few that seem like they're good and use that. And though these can be good questions, they might not be the best questions. You see, there's a big difference between good questions and the best questions for you to ask. Good questions are just that. They're good, they're average. They're the kinds of questions every candidate asks and moves on. The best questions are your genuine questions. And this is how genuine questions are identified. When you ask a question, what is your intention? Are you honestly seeking to understand the other person? Or are you just asking a question for the sake of asking it and aren't really interested in the answer at all? Also, when the other person is responding, are you actually listening? The mistake a lot of people make is they stop listening and start preparing their next question. Or they assume they understood the answer, and so they don't probe or seek further clarification. For example, if you ask, "What are you looking for in your next employee?" and they answer, "I'm looking for someone who will challenge the system," don't just take it at face value, because you don't even know what challenge the system means. Your definition of challenge the system might be completely different than that of the person sitting across the room. Instead, probe further and ask, what does challenging the system look like? To which his or her response provides greater clarity, and you can use that to continue to connect and understand one another. The bottom line is, when you have the opportunity, the gift to ask questions, don't just ask a list of questions. Instead, turn them into conversations. Allow the other person to feel heard and understood. The ability to ask genuine questions is a skill developed through lots of practice. So get out there, start setting up a lot of informational interviews, and practice. During an interview, you control the narrative, you control the mood, but there's a danger in which you can relinquish that control, and this occurs when it's your turn to ask questions. So we need to learn the effects of open-ended questions versus closed questions. Open-ended questions often trigger thoughtful answers, whereas closed questions can be resolved with a one-word answer. So what does that mean in your interview? Well, it means that unless you are looking for specific answers, you should be asking open-ended questions, because open-ended questions allow you to retain control. You can probe and investigate. You can have conversations. If you ask a closed question, you are leaving it up to the interviewer to decide where things go. He or she can give you a lot of information, or they can just give you a single word, which is not a bad thing if you're looking for specifics, but if you're looking for a conversation, this can be disastrous. Let me show you. Let's say you want to know if you will have work-life balance, or maybe, let's say, work from home flexibility. So you ask, "Do you guys work from home?" And the interviewer responds with, "No." Awkward, isn't it? So how do you follow up? The moral of the story is, if you genuinely want to know the answer, ask open-ended questions and then have conversations. Don't risk having interrogations. Now the homework. Write down what you really want to know about the job, the company, the team, the manager, whatever, but you really want to know. Look at what is most important to you, what you need from your next role, and then create a few open-ended questions to learn more about the role and whether it exists, whether the things you are looking for exist in the job that you're applying for. During the interview, you are interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. It isn't a one-way conversation. So you need to make sure that this job is also a good fit for you.